You stop for a second, open the map, zoom in, markers everywhere. Radio freedom is still playing, low and familiar. The kind of sound you live on without really listening. You fast travel to another settlement, it's clean, beds lined up, turrets in place, crops growing, hardly anyone is actually around. You've done this before. You show up, fix the problem, make it quiet again, then move on. No pause, no reflection, but you just check the place once more before leaving. Nothing's on fire, no one's shooting. That's usually enough. The radio keeps playing, the map fills back in. You don't really expect it to stay that way. You end up doing the same small things every time. You stop at a settlement, open the workshop, dump junk, steel, screws, adhesive. You don't even read the numbers anymore. Your hands already know where everything goes. The game lets that routine feel meaningful, quietly. The world is broken, the old systems collapsed, the big institutions failed, but not everyone turned cruel. Some people stayed decent. Some people still showed up when things went wrong. That's where the Minutemen slide in. They're presented gently, no grand speeches, no banners that try too hard, just regular people with mismatched rifles, answering calls when someone's in trouble. No taxes, no ranks, that really matter. No one forcing anyone else to join, just help offered freely. It's an easy idea to accept, almost comforting. If enough people are willing to show up when needed, maybe the world doesn't have to fall apart completely. So you start responding, settlement needs your help, you go, you deal with the problem, things calm down again, you do it once, then again, then a few more times. It doesn't feel repetitive yet, it feels responsible. Like maintenance, like keeping something alive. And the game never rushes you, it never says you're wrong for believing in it. It just keeps asking, another call, another marker, another place that needs you right now. The pattern settles in slowly, you don't really notice when it becomes familiar. Somewhere along the way, you hear Preston mention it casually like it's old news that doesn't need drama anymore. The Minutemen already fell apart once. A general died, no one knew how to replace him. Arguments piled up, people drifted away. The organization didn't get wiped out in a single battle, it just couldn't continue. That detail sits there, the game doesn't underline it, it doesn't stop you to reflect it, it just keeps going, like that's normal, you keep helping anyway. Later, you learn about Quincy. Not enough, not through a big cutscene, not through a heroic last dance, just the fragments. People talking, things that didn't arrive in time, orders that never line up, help that was supposed to come but didn't. Quincy wasn't a freak accident, but it was a test to the Minutemen. A town asked for help, the Minutemen tried to respond the way they always do, and it wasn't enough, not fast enough, not coordinated enough, not strong enough to hold. A small fire is manageable, but a group of volunteers can handle that, but Quincy wasn't a small fire. After that, something changes. Not officially, no announcement, but the trust leaks out. People stop believing the call guarantees an answer. You still respond anyway, you always do. But now it feels like you're plugging holes instead of building a wall. Security is strange that way, everyone needs it. Everyone benefits from it. Someone else will show up, someone else will take the risk. In the Commonwealth, that someone else slowly only becomes you. Eventually, presents make it official. You're the general now. Not because there was ceremony, not because anyone voted, just because there was no one left to argue. You don't inherit an institution, you inherit an empty title that, a lot of expectations, and somehow that's enough to keep things moving. You're the general now. You're also the one running errands, fixing generators, delivering message, negotiating, defending, rebuilding, calming things down. It works as long as you keep on moving. There's a moment, small, easy to miss, where it almost feels strange, almost sharp, almost worth questioning. Then another settlement pings you, and you move on before the thought forming. You start to notice what never appears. You don't build courts, you don't set laws, you don't create shared rules between settlements. You build turrets, you place bets, you answer, emergencies. Radio freedom doesn't explain policy, but also it doesn't outline plans. It announces trouble over and over again in the same calm voice. Like this is just how things are now. This isn't the first time the Commonwealth tried to organize itself. There was an attempt, a real one, settlements coming together, talking, trying to agree on something stable, but of course, it didn't last. After that, cooperation becomes cautious, temporary, local, people help when it's safe. When it's close, when it doesn't require trusting something bigger than what they can see. The environment doesn't reward long-term structure, but it just punishes it, quietly and consistently. Other groups, however, deal with that differently. Some centralize power hard and fast, some control from a distance, and some focus on a single goal and ignore everything else. The Minutemen stay human. They don't force loyalty towards the other, they don't demand obedience, they don't build fear into the system itself, they also don't build anything that survives without you. The calls keep coming because nothing underneath them changes. Every problem is solved locally, temporarily, and personally. There's no layer above it that absorbs the strain. You don't notice the repetition because it's spaced out. Place stabilize, then destabilize, people rebuild, then call again. If the system needs one person personally respond to every crisis, it holds together only as long as that person keeps walking. You can imagine what it will take for this to work differently. Not perfectly, just better than before. Clear membership, shared obligation, a small core that doesn't vanish when one person disappears, a way to settle disputes that doesn't always involve a gun or a favor, nothing heroic, nothing utopian, just enough structure to outlast goodwill. But that's not what you're building here. You're building pauses, moments where things don't get worse. And that's not nothing, but it's also not a state. You open the map again, zoom out, markers still everywhere. Radio freedom still plays on, steady as ever. Another settlement needs your help. You let the radio play for a bit, you don't change the situation, you never really do. Radio freedom keeps talking in the same way, like just usual situation on the wasteland, reassuring like things are under control as long as someone is still listening. You've heard all of it before. You already know how this message usually ends. The idea itself isn't wrong, it works in small moments. It works when people still believe the next step will hold. When something, will shows up, feels like enough. But the work keeps stacking up. Supplies still have to move, arguments still stall out, decisions still wait for someone to make them, and none of that stays in place once the person holding it together walks away. The system keeps moving anyway. Calls go out, response come in, and the same situations circle back with different names and different locations, but they settle into the same shape every time. You almost stop and think about it. Almost. Then the message finished playing. So when you hear settlement needs your help, it doesn't really sound like a quest lighting up anymore. It sounds more like someone admitting that nothing underneath has shifted, that things are still being held together by whoever happened to answer. The radio keeps playing, and of course, your map stays full, and for now, that's enough to keep everything moving.